Okay, I'm getting, it feels like it's supposed to be paired with that second image. No, not second image, the first one. The first one we had the cord cutting, but instead of having the scissors, it's like a chainsaw, and that's coming in like hacksaw, like table saw, like we're like using this really heavy machinery to cut the ribbon when we really just need a pair of scissors. Just a little craft scissor is enough. And so whenever I see something like that, where like we're using a tool that is like in excessive energy relative to the task, then there's some sort of a disconnect between we are using our energy as applied to the tasks that are in front of us. So if you're using a chainsaw to cut a ribbon, then really we're putting in way more energy than is necessary, gassing that thing up, having to pull the cord, letting it rip, and then it's like, okay, we could have just went to the kitchen, opened a drawer, grabbed some scissors, snip, snip, we're done. So there's more time on the front end than we like actually need to put into it. And we could use that tool when we have a mismatch of a tool, then it's where are we applying our energy? What's a more practical use for that chainsaw rather than cutting a ribbon? Where are our scissors? Are our scissors lost? Do we need to reconnect to basic tools? That's some of the intuition. Yeah, this feels like this is in the first reading. Paying attention to our intuition, the divine feminine, receiving. So if we're way in the divine masculine side, then it's like, yeah, like, let's do this. Like, let's cut that ribbon and go. And it's like, whoa, let's take it back like 40 notches here. Dial it down a little bit, settle. Exhaling, it's like, okay, really, how can we relax? How can we center? How can we not even reframe? Reframing feels too active. It's just, how can we really land in our peace, our grounding, moving forward, going where we need to go. And by need, it's what's inspiring us, the opportunities presented to us. It feels like we're trying to get in that Taurus vibe. Just doing what feels comfortable, as in supportive, full of ease, relaxation. So if you've been going on a 11 out of 10, how can we go at a really, really slow, leisurely, pleasant pace this week? Slowing down like a ton, because when we move slower, it's easier to know when the opportunities are coming to us. Because we're running around and we're on hyper speed, we can miss things. This figures I'm dealing with ADHD diagnosis. No kidding. Okay. Very much lived a lot of my life in masculine energy, working hard at embracing, receiving, living more in my feminine energies. Yes, absolutely. That's what this is all about. And it feels like this is especially this week. So whatever is going on, whatever's being presented, like I just keep getting these like really deep breaths, really extended exhales, going slower. If you think this is slow, go slower. It's like, that's like the mantra this week. How can I go slower? And I know we're basically right at the time. The card is the desires card. I craft my core desires with certainty and ease. Ease is the key word. I mentioned that before. When we are trusting ourselves. So this is a kind of a self-efficacy card. It's not manifestation, because that's a separate card in this deck. But what we're looking at is deeply trusting our abilities. We have the tools, kind of like what we're talking about in the second reading where we have the backpack on. So we have the tools. We have everything that we need. So she's, whipping together a potion. She has everything that she needs to move forward. But we're leaning into the ease piece of that energy. We can't force creation. That's the masculine side. This is the divine feminine version of action, of making something into being. It's like, I can do it. It's going to take the time it needs to take. I trust that it will work out. I trust that I have my own back. I have resources. I have a community. I have people I can connect to. This is going to pan out. I can trust that I can go slower. I don't have to rush the process, and I will still get there. Thank you. My moon is in Scorpio. Oh, perfect. Happy lunar return. I'm a breath worker and teach yoga and Pilates. Yes, 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 yes. Love this. Let me know how your week goes. I can do it, especially as I've doubted myself for so much of my life. Yeah. So it feels like mantras this week are one, some version of I can do it slower. I can go even slower. And then the emphasis on ease. I move with ease. Yeah, I love that. I can live my life slowly. Yes. Yes. These are great mantras. Even it could be, you could put those together and make it even more divine feminine. I live with ease. That's capturing that we're present, because even some of the moving piece is like really active. So if we live with ease, it means our embodiment in every moment, we are in ease. Life involves making choices. So it's kind of tucked in there, but it's a nice, pretty divine feminine packaging. Do you have kids or have kids in your family or want kids? I'm getting brought to the youngest generation. I have a son. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of pen, paper, kind of homework things. I don't know how old your son is. Something about lessons, life lessons, role models. We can take this wherever you would like, but if it's more about how your family unit is operating, or even extended family, or the family that you were born into. So I'll leave it up to you which way you want to take this. My side or my husband's side. Okay, so you're more interested in learning about just like general family hierarchy structure, things that are going on with said families that are united. Okay. You're getting like Romeo and Juliet stuff. like a battle between backgrounds or beliefs or conduct or how things are supposed to be done, something to that effect. Coming from different camps. That's being appraised. Yes, that's exactly how it feels. The impulse is focusing on your family unit. Okay, well, let's just do the things that we're doing. But then it actually, that feels like in the long term, it is kind of isolating. When if we're saying, okay, well, there's things that aren't working in my family, there's things that weren't working in his family. Let's just put our eggs in our new family that we've created. But it seems like in the long game, that disconnect feels like we're missing our roots, we're missing something to tether us, that some of the relationships are atrophying and things could be different. Some people just like need space. There's a difference between cutting people out and setting boundaries. And a boundary doesn't always have to be that you don't talk, you don't interact, you don't get together, you don't even intermingling of the families. Like if that's the case, then as an example, if you're having, joint holidays and things and families are mixing and there's conflict, then maybe just like taking a break from doing that. Or when they're intermingled, it's with the people that slightly more get along with each other or something, or that you're kind of going in between them rather than having their intermingle. Like if that is part of the issue, that has been a focus. But yes, it can be isolating. At the same time, we're projecting our peace. We're trying to figure out where to go from here. Yeah, I mean, like it's a path of least resistance. So if you want to go with one family, so again, I don't know the specific dynamics of, like, as an example, if you maybe agree more or less with your husband's family versus your own and him, if it's the same or if it's vice versa. Like if there's an obvious of, if both families feel like there's dysfunction or things that you disagree with, or if it's one more so than the other, whatever it is, it's like the families don't have to, they could take a little bit of break from intermingling or even at the scale that you have been. And that, so that maybe, you're doing a holiday with this family and then you're doing a different one with that family. But then if you're still noticing some of these toxic things that are just not working, switch. Okay, now we'll take that holiday and we'll try it with the other family next year instead and see if that makes a difference. you know but if it's taking away your peace, because that's what was coming through, if it feels like you kind of can't win either way, then maybe the things that you're doing aren't the holidays, the big events where there's all of this pressure, or around, if it's politics related, like around election time or like things like that. You could decide that you want to still maintain these connections, but have them in these really controlled environments. So ways where they're not interacting with each other, the most volatile people not interacting with each other, that they're not around times that are like the classics, or like a Thanksgiving where it's, certain kinds of conversations are happening. So maybe it's just randomly doing a dinner or going out to a restaurant or something. It's in a public place. You can only be there for so long because then people have to leave, rather than being at someone's house and then you're trapped there, or it's all the work if you are hosting. So it feels like there are like some different strategies so that you could still get together with the people, but it's maybe deciding, well, maybe not those specific individuals in this family tree, or not mixing the families together for these events, or not doing this holiday with that family or this holiday with either family. Maybe it's a friend holiday. You invite your friends over and you and their kids and all of their family members or something. You could bring them together. So kind of rethinking how you're engaging so that you can actually enjoy yourself in the moments that you are spending with each other's families, whether together or separately. We set boundaries, but no one agrees and there's been pushback. Exactly. So it feels like it's protecting your peace. It's on your own terms. You can always decide, hey, we're going to do 4th of July with my husband's family. That's it. That's what we're deciding. That's what we're doing. Period. End of story. Try that out. And if you find, just kidding, that was problematic too, then maybe next year. So it feels like if it's a holiday thing, you can just try something different. You can always switch it up every year and say, well, that didn't work. Have any of the variables changed with the individuals involved? No. Okay, then let's do something different than we did last year. But it feels like there's an important thread here in not just fully cutting off all of the family. There's good eggs. That's how it's coming in. There's good eggs. There's people who are just going through whatever stuff right now. There's people who clash with each other across families, within families. And how can you get the best out of those situations? So whichever family members you're getting together with, intentionally picking ones that have the least likelihood of having conflict within the family units, or with your family unit with your husband and your son. There's just a lot of different options and variables, and it's like reminding yourself, you are in charge. You and your husband are in charge. You can decide that you want to go somewhere, not go somewhere, not invite people, not have these people get together, not talk to that person, but talk to that other person. And there's just a lot of choice here. The card is the shadow card. Very interesting. Somebody brought up earlier about releasing some of the family traumas and patterns. So if you resonated at all with that second reading of how can you reflect, recognize where you have blocks and you're spinning your wheels, how can you release and step out of that? Great way to do it is shadow work. There is medicine in my shadow. Super easy, very, very common. Yes, I picked number 2, resonated with me. Perfect. You can hop into your search engine and look for shadow work prompts for family. or boundaries. Maybe communication, but family and boundaries feel like the top ones. That could be something that maybe you decide to do this week to work with the energy portal of that second reading. Sitting there, and then of course doing gratitude exercise as well, so supplementing it. So you have your shadow work questions. As you finish that, doing some gratitude exercises, because you also want to focus on the things that are going right. Not that shadow work is always what's going wrong, but it's deeper reflections, trying to identify the wounds, trying to identify patterns. If you have a therapist, it's the same idea. You could look up those questions or concepts and bring that to, therapy if you had that this week, and talk to the therapist about it. Like, these are the things that I want to hit on this week. I want to talk about my boundaries with my family. I want to talk about how I can put myself, my husband, my family back in the driver's seat of our life, and come up with some ideas there and figure that out. Because you always have choice and you can always change. Every holiday, every month, every day, you can do something different. That didn't work last time. You don't have to do it again. You don't have to say, well, maybe it'll be different next year. You could just decide, I'm not going to do that next year. I don't care if it maybe is 2% better. I'm going to not do that next year. I'm going to try something else. Being a little bit more fluid. We do not have to be bogged down by expectations of tradition. If that was what is ingrained, this is what we do with our family. This is how we do it. This is when we do it. Let's talk about that. Can we undo some of those things? Is that acting as a block? So we are spinning our wheels. We're feeling like we can't move forward. We're feeling unhappy with how things are going. We can check that out. We can get out of the car and go on our hike with our water, our travel companions, aka husband and son. Supplies that we need. We can venture and say, all right, well, we're going to do something different. We're going to make a new path. We're going to walk on that path, pick up all the weeds, clear it out. That's the route that we're going to go. And we can choose who we want to invite on our next hike with us. I will do that today. I'm currently looking for a therapist. Oh, great. Yeah, this is a reflective energy, and this is no small feat to undo. And we're talking about two families. So it's your relationship with your family, your relationship with your husband's family, his relationship with his family, his relationship with your family, and their relationship with each other. That's a lot of different combinations to navigate. So it's like a landmine type situation. That's exhausting. And really, when we think about the fundamentals, what do you want as your experience with family, the idea of family at large? What do you want? That's a prompt right there. What does family mean to me? What do I want my family holiday to look like? What do I want my son's relationship with his aunts, uncles, cousins to look like? So many things that you could ask, think about. It's reflecting on your priorities. What is meaningful to you? Also perfect. Also so perfect. Shadow work on full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio loves going deep, getting to the truth. Let's face those shadows, because guess what? We can transform on the other side. To trial and error that in partnership with your husband and your son. How's your son feeling about all of it? Is he feeling uncomfortable being with this family or that family, or watching the fighting? You don't want him to learn those lessons. You want him to see what the two of you are doing, setting boundaries, conflict resolution, advocacy, compassion, honesty. So this is not a just this week journey, but you can harness the energy of this week to kind of get that going. And as I mentioned, for reading number 2, it was designed to be the next 2 to 3 weeks at minimum of just this leg of it, and then kind of going from there and continuing to work on it. Theory, tie back to original intuition. That ends up being a life lesson for your son. Yeah. Walking this path too. Good luck to you. All the best. Yeah, exactly. We all have versions of this. So hopefully for anyone that relates on the family side, you have options. If you want to do the same thing that came through for Stephanie, then yeah, look up some of those prompts. Stephanie, I agree. We will continue to make the best choices that work for us. Therapy will definitely be helpful for me. Yes, I have been thinking a lot about my son and how this can be affecting him too. We want peaceful and healthy relationships. 1000%. It's taking your power back. You can view a boundary not as just that you are keeping things out, but that you're keeping your power in. You're allowing yourself to stay charged, tackle what you need rather than having things like sucking your energy from you. People, circumstances, stressors.